But what I'm trying to do here is prolong my time in the grow room before I have to take them out. We got some tomatoes here and some peppers there, more tomatoes, but I've got 4 trays of 16 here that I started of my Parthenocarpic lines Brandybear, and they're nearly open pollinated. It's either this generation that I'm growing here or the next generation after, but either which way you slice it, it's over 95% consistent towards open pollination. So this is a full sibling. These 3 are a full sibling of the plants you just saw here, and they are growing parthenocarpically. You can see the fruit has set and is growing. I cut off all the extra flowers, but it's grown on both of them. That's the confirmation. I didn't pollinate them at all, and there's no wind in here to speak of, so I got a little bit of an overhead fan, but it's barely blowing. You can't even see any of the leaves moving, can you? So there's nothing that could vibrate pollen onto the stigma, the female part of the flower, so it should never have been pollinated. I'll confirm that. I'll let that continue to grow. But the reason why I'm growing this in the grow room now is so that I can cross it, which is a big beefsteak / large slicer here, Brandybear, back to my cherry tomato here, which is long time open pollinated. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can create a hybrid that is between this one and this one. Since they're both highly parthenocarpic, ideally it should produce a parthenocarpic hybrid. And that was a big issue for one of the major ags that I talked to. They didn't think it would be able to do that. So that's why I'm testing it, to see if I can get a parthenocarpic Pat B hybrid out of 2 highly inbred parthenocarpic lines. And what that means for them is that they can breed their highly inbred lines that they make hybrids out of to the point where they're parthenocarpic, and then cross them and get a parthenocarpic hybrid. So that's why I'm doing this. That's why this one's growing, and now that's why this one's continuing to grow. This is a cross between Rose Cherrybear back to Brent, just to bring in some other things. I've got a whole nother video, I'll talk about that. But this video is about potting up these that are going to go outside in the raised garden bed area. And I've determined, you may have seen, let me see if it was in this video that I'm waiting to produce. No, I've already produced it, published it. So I've said that we're going on vacation the end of August. In order to get production a productive year, I have to back up when I start my tomatoes and peppers so that it all ends, all the fruit and all the gathering, the next generations, everything I want to do is absolutely completed by the time we go on vacation. And so I started the plants really early. And let's see if I see a date on here anywhere. I don't see the date. There it is over here. I started them on 20 January. It's probably in the other video. But anyway, 20 January, because this is a separate video. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to repot these because I've got a ways before my last frost date's over. I've got about 4 to 6 more weeks before I put these in the raised beds. And what I've chosen to do was something I adopted from figs, and that is growing them in these tree pots. And let me bring you over here and show you what I'm talking about. Now this is the setup that I decided to go with for figs, but look how long these are. These would be excellent for potting up the tomatoes. I can put them all the way at the bottom of each pot. It'd be not much out here. Maybe trim off a couple leaves evenly because it's a little bit crowded. But what I'm trying to do here is prolong my time in the grow room before I have to take them out. And I'm going to do that with this right here. So this is my workstation, more or less, and it's a table, a folding table that I've had in here for quite some time, and I use this as a workstation. So down below here you'll see that I've got my mix. It's 1/3 perlite, 1/3 peat moss, and 1/3 aged rice hulls. It's a really good mix. So in order to prepare these tree pots, you'll see they have a really large hole, and that soil will just absolutely drain out of there like crazy. So let me show you what I'm going to use, and then pot up a couple for you, and just show you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but just an example, and then I'll show you the end result. All right, I have kind of a general view so you can kind of see everything here. And what I start out with is this screen here. This is, I had used this for microgreens, growing microgreens and hydroponically. And so I have a excess material that I trimmed off of that, and I didn't want to waste it, so now it's coming in useful. If this is something you want to do, obviously you can find different forms of this type of stuff. They even make silicone versions and dehydrator mats and stuff like that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to get an approximate width of this tree pot on the bottom. So it's about right here. I'm going to cut one, and I'll go ahead and cut two. So now I have two of those, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in the bottom of this particular tree pot. Now this is just a bamboo stake that I put one of these paper, it's not really, well maybe it is a clip, but anyway, I use it to hold the yellow sticky stuff, and I stick it down in pots to get rid of fungus gnats. So I use this to poke it down where it's even on both sides here. And I also use it if any of the sides are sticking out a little bit, so I can add a little bit of mix to it. Let me see, I'm gonna see if you can see me here. Yep. And then I hold it like that, and I get some mix in it like this. And so I just want a little bit in there to keep the mesh screen away from coming inwards and being folded over on itself. And so that alone, if I mash it down here in preparation for the tomato, it creates a little area here now that mix can't get out, and it can be bottom watered at the same time. And that's the way it's going to go back in this little box there. It holds them all. So now I need to get a tomato, and I'm going to show you potting up a couple of these. All right, I brought a couple of tomatoes over. This one's over here. I'm not sure if you can see it, for two. And I put it inside that 1020 because this is still soaking wet. And this is wicking up and providing the moisture the tomato needs for the wick watering, which is something I prefer. I just pour it in there into my assembly, and it just keeps it perfectly watered. Don't ever have to worry about it. And I fill it up about once a week, and then it wicks automatically without having to sit in water and become overly saturated. Okay, so you'll see probably when I pull this out that this is at the bottom of the container here. So let me pull this particular piece of painter's tape here and put it on this container so I can reuse it. Now I know what it is. I'm going to turn this upside down over this pot so that I don't make a big old mess. Shake it slightly and remove this. It might be a little bit difficult because let me just go ahead and pull it out. And then tomatoes are very, very hardy. You can see the current root mass. It's a little bit loose. It wasn't even close to being root bound yet, but I'm going to stick it in here at the very bottom here. What I probably should have done was taken off the leaves, but it won't matter. I'll do that now with these scissors. Sometimes scissors are better than the shears. So now I'm going to add some mix in here, and let's see if you can see me. I'll make sure you can, which is just simply holding it over the pot here, or holding over this 5-gallon bucket full of mix so it doesn't make a mess all over the floor. And I'll put it in here and tamp it lightly. Like I said, tomatoes are very, very hard to kill. I mean, this could have had no roots on it at all and it would have survived. It may have gone through a little bit of shock, but like this, potting up like this, won't be an issue at all. So that's one done, and I'm going to do one more for you, and then I'll do the rest without you. I'll do it in real time so you can kind of see how long it takes. This one's a little smaller. Go ahead and pull that out. I need to put a little bit more in here because that one's shorter. I need to get that tag off of there. I forgot to do it again, didn't I? Pull these little cotyledons off. That's what the first leaves are called. The ones that come after the cotyledons are called true leaves. Just FYI for the newbies out there. And what'll happen is, I'm hoping, and I'm sure it will, based on my experience in the past, that the fig roots are primarily down here. I'm hoping that they'll continue to root up here and populate this thing pretty darn densely and give me another month and a half before I plant them outside. I'll bring you back. I have to get this off of here, but I'll bring you back when I do all of them, because there's nothing going to be different than what I just showed you. I'm going to do all the rest and put them all in here. There we go. There's 50 plants, and I should be able to get an early start, enough for production of these particular varieties. I do have some more that I have to plant, but they're not needed for the whole season like these are. And here they are the next day, perked up, straightened up, looking nice.